Hey, Stu.
Thomas, how are you, sir?
I'm trying to fight the winter here, buddy. Turned
Yeah,
winter on us.
yeah, I know.
You even have a sweatshirt on. I mean,
Yep. I am still sweaty from my workout this morning. I didn't even shower. I'm like, let's do this podcast. Get it
you're the
over with.
man. You are the man. So this is Tactical Fitness Report number 65, Stu.
Moving
Uh,
right along.
this one is about top 10 pyramid routines. This is your and my. We love these things.
Oh,
And
man.
you just wrote an article in military.com that people can search the title top 10 pyramid routines and they'll find it.
Right.
But what's so great about this is by doing this workout, these kinds of workouts, you can warm yourself up, you can max out, you can cool down, you can put all kinds of things in here to make it really fun to do. And I know it's my favorite of all combination of things, and I think it's one of your favorites too.
Oh, absolutely. I was when I wrote this article, I was thinking, you know what? I bet I have at least 10 pyramid workouts that I do. And it's a huge variety, and you're only limited by your imagination, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about the pyramid, it's just such a neat little system to do a workout, and it doesn't overtax you. It takes you up to a maximum, and then it brings you back down. So like you said, a warm up, a max out, a cool down. I mean, it's ideal for especially anybody trying to get back into shape or try to build their calisthenics up or their cardio up. And you'll see all the different methods that we have to do that in this podcast. But I love it. I can't imagine how many of these I have done in my life.
Well, the other thing that is really good about this, and you're gonna make this number 10 of your 10, is when you add thinking games to this. And just keeping track of the pyramid itself sometimes can be a little daunting when you're pushing hard.
Oh, absolutely.
So it combines everything, not only physical but mental. So why don't you take the first one, Stu? You call it the classic pyramid.
Yeah, we don't need to go much time on this one. This is the classic pull-up, push-up, ab, dip, pyramid. And typically the way we do it is you work your way up the pyramid by ones on pull-ups, and then by twos on push-ups, and by threes on some form of abdominal exercise. Typically if you're trying to ace a fitness test, it's going to be sit-ups or crunches. But I like to have a big variety in there as well, just to break up the monotony of that. And to be truthful, these abs build up to such a high number that they're kind of a rest for your upper body that's getting beat down with the pull-ups, the push-ups, and the dips. And then I forgot to mention the dips. The dips are also by times 2. So your first set would look like 1 pull-up, 2 push-ups, 3 abs, 2 dips. That's easy, right? And then it's 2, 4, 6. And then 3, 6, 9, 4, 8, 12. Yeah. And you're just whatever pull-ups you're doing, that's the same number of dips you're doing. And, one I didn't even list in here was the TRX version of this one, which I love to do. And if you're doing, in fact, all you need are 2 exercises for the TRX version. You do the pull-up and you do the atomic push-up. But you got to double. Whatever you do on pull-ups, you have to double with atomic push-ups. And that one by itself is a good butt kicker too. So
yeah. So let me just go back, just so everybody didn't mishear you. You equate the number of dips to the number of push-ups.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And so if you do a pyramid from 1 to 10 and back down to 1, cool thing about the pyramid too is it's kind of easy math. Because if you do it that way, 1, 10, back to 1, and you don't repeat 10 twice, right? You make a true pyramid out of it. All you have to do is square the top number and you got your total reps.
Yeah.
So if you go 10 back down to 1, that's 100 pull-ups. If you don't, that's 200 push-ups, 300 abs, 200 dips. If you only go 6 back down to 1, that's 36 pull-ups. Right. So anyway, it's a really cool system. Like I said, it's just fun.
Well, Stu, based on the last thing you just said, it also helps if you want to do a 50 pull-up session or a 36, or well, it's actually 48, but
Yeah.
whatever that you can calibrate based on how much time you have, because this is a really efficient workout when you have limited time.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a great assessment tool as well.
Yeah.
Because 1 week you may only get to 7 and back down to 1. 2 weeks later, you may get to 9 and back down to 1. If you haven't done it for a while, and you just want to see where you are, it's a great tool to say, "Ooh, I got to work on my calisthenics. I'm losing a little bit. That 1 to 10 back down to 1 was too hard. So."
And I know that the other one that you like and I like are sets, the supersets of exercises, and those can become really daunting to do. Where the pyramid, you can end up doing, I think you can end up doing a lot more, because it's all mental, and you start pushing yourself when you get to 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. You just start pushing yourself, and then after you've done this a while, you realize, oh, wait a minute, all I have to do is get to 10, and then it starts backing down. And boy, once you get below about 7 or 6, then it really becomes a fun thing to just finish off.
Oh, absolutely. It's like I said, it turns into a cool down.
Yep.
For you.
And it becomes very fun. So it's not quite as daunting coming back down as it is going up.
Yeah, I would buy that. Same for the hypoxics too, that we're going to touch on.
We are. All right.
Yeah.
So talk about burpee and run pyramids for me.
Yeah, this one's just pure torture. It really is. What we do is we do this on a basketball court, or if you really want to get sadistic, on a hill or a bleacher set, right? So you basically you do one burpee, you run to the other side of the basketball court, or this can be a football field where you're just doing the 25-yard line. If you want to make it harder, you can go to the 50 or make it a full 100. Just depends on how hard you want to make this thing. You can make it that way. That's the cool thing about this. And it's scalable for all your different needs. But you do one burpee on one end, you do 2 burpees on the other. You run back, you do 3 burpees and 4 burpees and 5 burpees and 6 burpees. How high can you go? That's the thing. And you can go 1 to 10 back to 1 and make it 100 burpees if you prefer, or you can just push yourself to where you're like, you know what, I can't do any more burpees. I'm done. And see if you can get to 20, right? And see if you can get to 25. Because if you go just a single side of the pyramid up to 20, you're looking at 210 burpees right there. Now, if you came back down, it's going to be 400 burpees. That's a lot of burpees. That I don't know if you necessarily need that kind of volume, but the 1 to 20 is pure suck. If you go a little bit harder, you want to push it to another level, you can go 1 to 25. And what we have kind of termed here in the like Spec Ops pre-training world is the 1 to 25 is kind of the gold standard.
Is it really?
Yeah, we just say if you can get 1 to 25 and keep running without stopping and do this as quickly amount as possible, that's a good gold standard workout.
Now I see why you have my warm-ups structured that way these days.
Yes. Yeah, and it's a good warm-up too. You know what? That's a good point, because I'll put in a 1 to 5 or a 1 to 10 burpee pyramid, and you stop at 5 or stop at 10, and it is a great warm-up, especially if you're first thing in the morning. That's the first thing you've done. It really does warm me up well. And I hate them. Don't get me wrong. I hate burpees, but there's nothing better for me at my age right now that warms me up better than a burpee 1 to 10 pyramid.
In one of the books, I can't remember exactly which one it is. Remember Ray Smith, Admiral Smith?
Oh yeah.
And he did you had a story about him PTing, but he did what he called his max out workout. And the one exercise I think he left out was the 8-count bodybuilder. And he said the reason why he left it out was 2 words: enough's enough.
Yeah. That 8-count bodybuilder is even harder than the burpee. So you can do this exact same workout with the 8-count bodybuilder push-up. Because basically, if you think about what a burpee is, it's kind of a 6-count bodybuilder,
Yeah.
right? Because you don't open and close your legs for the 7 and 8 part of the, or I guess the 5 and 6 part of the count. So yeah, 8-count bodybuilder just adds almost like a jumping jack to it in your horizontal position compared to the burpee. But I definitely think the 8-count bodybuilder is harder than the burpee.
That's really interesting. I actually do them as 8-count bodybuilders, and I think it's only because I've done bodybuilders for so long, Stu, that it's almost a natural for me to try to do that. But also what it does is it makes it harder to pull your legs back after a while. When you start failing, where I fail in the 8-count bodybuilder is being able to pull my legs back to be able to get up. That's when I start failing. I don't fail at the push-up. I don't fail. It's where I fail is, okay, my whole body's ready to stop. I cannot get my knees back underneath my chest to stand up. That's where I start to fail.
Okay. Yeah. So, I think we all have different places where we fail on these. And, it could be the run in between. It could be the push-up. It could be just being able to get down and stand up again. But, yeah, it's like I said, it's a hard workout. So it's a great one, though.
We'll talk about the next one, because this is one that you had me start doing years ago, and this is the pull-up burpee pyramid.
Yeah, you know what we did? We actually created this one as a way to kind of simulate obstacle courses, right? Because not everybody has access to obstacle courses, and sometimes the only ones they do have access to, they got to pay for in an obstacle course race. So this is kind of our push-pull and run in between obstacle exercise. So basically you have an outdoor pull-up bar and you do one pull-up, and then you run about 40, 50 yards and you do one burpee. And then you run back 2 pull-ups and you run back 2 burpees, right? And you just keep going back and forth all the way up. And a lot of people like to go to 10 and then back down to 1 on this one. That's a good one. Some people keep going up, see if they can hit 20. Which is really hard. That's 210 pull-ups, 210 burpees. That's a good workout. And then you can even start getting creative with this and start turning the run into something more difficult, right? So you can do a bear crawl, or you can do a fireman carry with your partner.
Oh, really interesting.
Right. Yeah. So you can make these a little more challenging. You can pick up a kettlebell and farmer walk it, or, you can do so many different things. Some people do cartwheels. And I tell them, try to get creative, because I want them to kind of still be able to engage that thinking part of the brain and that creative part of their brain, and just come up with an idea to get across the field, or across the, if you got an indoor basketball court that has a pull-up bar, that's a great one to do it too, And because I train a lot of guys that, are going into the military, and you're going to be tired. You're going to be winded, you're going to be, anaerobically challenged to where, it's, you kind of go to that happy place, real easy to kind of dissociate from some of this pain, but you can't do that, when you're on ops, and you gotta be able to engage that thinking part of the brain. So what we try to do is simulate some of that, at least that ability to think while tired, think while winded, and be able to, think about how many pull-ups and burpees have you done at a certain period of this thing, and you can kind of keep track of your sets. That alone is the pyramid is great for, and I think we've already kind of bumped into adding thinking games here. But this is one of my favorite to add thinking games into is during the transition from the burpee to the pull-up zone. And make them think about how they travel. You can no longer run anymore. I'm taking out running. Now you got to, how do you get from A to B? And then back. And it's a really cool way. And, I don't mind if you're copying off your neighbor, but at some point you got to come up with your own, your own method to get over there. And I've seen some good ones. Like there was this chair with wheels on it once. And a guy put his buddy in there and they just pushed each other to the other side. I'm like, hey, I like that. That's a good one. I didn't see that one coming, because everybody else is doing like walking lunges or fireman carries or bear crawls or crab walks, right? And this guy says, "Oh, there's a chair here." I said, "That's genius. Don't do it again, but that's genius."
It is genius. Yeah. And the other thing, Stu, that I like to do that I'm sure that you put in too, is pull down ropes. If you've got a pull down rope that you can throw onto your pull up bar, being able to grab the rope and keep your grip strength strong while you're doing.
Oh yeah, man! If you can do rope pull ups, yeah, that one's tough.
I didn't say I could do them, Stu. I said I like to put the rope over the pull-up bar and try to do them.
Yes,
I
I got you.
Try, but I should have said try. No, but I think that's a good one. I use that in when I do these as an alternate to one of the alternate grips.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, you can go wide grip, close grip, reverse grip, commando grip. Throw a rope on there and hold on to the rope. Yeah, towel. We call them towel pull-ups.
Yeah, you can do the same thing with
the
towel. Yeah, actually, it works really well with the towel too.
Yeah.
Then you have another one here called the PT Pyramid Plus Run.
Yeah, you know what? That it's exactly as this first one we talked about, but every fifth set you have to run a particular distance. Yes. Typically, the way we do it is we'll do a 1 to 10. Back down to 1 pyramid, but every fifth set you have to run a mile. So that way you will log in 4 miles along with a PT pyramid in these one mile intervals, and that's a great one too. But you could also make it, quarter mile runs. Like if you have a track nearby or something like that where your pull-up bar is, and every even set you run a quarter mile. So that's another tough one to do as well. And you can make it a sprint, you can make it a goal pace. So if you're trying to get a 6-minute mile run, you can run your quarter mile in 90 seconds, something like that. So make it a goal pace for muscle memory of your mile pace that you want to hit, or you make it a full out sprint and see if you can get it in 60 seconds. I mean, that's going to mess up your PT numbers real soon because you'll be eating up all your blood sugar and glycogen. But that's the way some of these workouts go.
Then the bike pyramid is something you again introduced me to years ago, and I love doing the bike pyramid.
It's a fun one. I like doing them on leg days because it does burn the legs out pretty good. And all it is a stationary bike, and the pyramid is the resistance. So every minute on the minute, you just hit that button that says resistance up. And it goes from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. 10 minutes later, you're on level 10, starting to get a little harder now. 5 minutes later, you're on level 15. You might have to stand up now to pedal. And typically the way I do it is if you can't maintain 70 to 80 RPMs, then you're done going up and you need to come back down. So, a lot of times you can do a 15 back down to 1. And that's a 29-minute workout, and it's a great one. It's not the boring 30-minute on the bike workout that you're just sitting there pedaling. You actually have to put some thought into it and some effort every time. It gets a little harder, but once again, what is it? It's a warm up, it's a max out, and it's a cool down, all rolled into one. So
another way you can complicate this, and you can see. One of the ways I like to do this, Stu, is you start out on 1 at 80 revolutions per minute. Then you move it to 85, and then 90 and 95 and 100. And then you go to 2 and you do the same thing. So you can be pyramiding both sides of not only the resistance, but also the revolutions per minute, so that you're not bored doing the same one. So you can do it the really hard way, the 1 to 20 to 1, or you can do it by inching your way up the other way.
I like that.
Yeah, that works really well, especially if you're going to go for a long period of time.
Right.
Skip breathing.
Yeah, for the swimming. I think in my books I call this hypoxic swimming.
Yeah.
Right. Over the years the term hypoxic has taken some hits. Right? Are you really hypoxic? Are you your low oxygen. Hypoxic tends to be more of the higher altitude, less oxygen versus just being winded. So I think it's probably a misnomer on my part calling them hypoxic swim workouts. But so we just call them skip breathing now. So basically it's the same thing. You swim 100 yards, you're doing, 2 to 3 strokes per breath, right? So if you're an even breather, you breathe, on the same side every time, you're going to be an even breather. If you like to alternate sides, breathing on the left and the right, you'd be an odd breather. So it depends on which way you like to swim. So you either do 2 or 3 for 100 yards, and then you go to the next level and you do 3 or 4, or you go 5 and 6, 7 and 8, strokes per breath. And eventually you're going to get up to like 9 and 10 strokes per breath. And if it's a 25-yard pool, you might be able to only breathe once getting across the pool. And you'll see you start getting really, really winded. And it's going to be hard to maintain that kind of stroke count throughout the swim. So eventually you're just going to be breathing on the walls. It's about the only time you're going to be able to breathe is on the walls. And that gets challenging, gets potentially dangerous. So, I don't like to do this by yourself. You definitely have to have a lifeguard there at the pool with you. Now, I will say this, it is freestyle swimming. So I've never seen anybody pass out from this one, like a shallow water blackout type thing, but not saying it can't happen. Just got to be careful. I think with any swimming workout you don't need to be by yourself, anyway. So
on this one, Stu, I do it using side stroke, combat swimmer.
Right.
And the thing that so one of the things I tried before we closed up the pool was to see, because one of the questions you and I had was, if you do this, does it increase your heart rate the more you skip? And we talked about this kind of as more of a question of, geez, I wonder if it does.
Oh, it definitely increases your heart rate. Will it get you in better shape? That's the question.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And what's interesting about that, Stu, is you have to get to pretty high levels of skips. You have to get into the 7, 8, 9 strokes before your heart rate starts to increase. When it's just a handful, it doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting question. And what's your view though on do you think it helps your aerobic capacity?
That's a good question. I think there are some studies out there that said it doesn't make a difference if you're swimming, 2,000 yards in a workout, or you're doing 2,000 yards worth of hypoxic swimming. They're probably going to equal out.
Okay.
And you're going to be swimming, so I think that's how they did the studies. So I don't think they saw a noticeable difference in people's, cardiovascular output, just because they're skip breathing. However, I will say this. I do know that my resting heart rate gets lower if I do a month of, say, like 3 or 4 times a week of 1,500 yards of hypoxic pyramids, month straight. I have done this, and I have seen about a 5 to 10 beats per minute, decrease in my resting heart rate.
So what is your resting heart rate, Stu?
It's usually low 50s, sometime upper 40s. Yeah.
So I have the new generation Apple watch that measures it for me, which is really interesting. It measures it constantly. I'm in the 45 range pretty
good.
consistently. And then at night, I get down into the 38 to 40 range.
Yeah.
Which I was shocked, because I thought I was at least 10 to 15 points higher than that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, Lance Armstrong has a resting heart rate of 32.
So, you know what? It could be that I'm just headed downward, Stu. It could be, that at my age, things are slowing down, and that's just one of the things that slows down. I mean,
I don't think that's how it works.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Because I know plenty of unfit people have enormously high heart rates.
Yeah.
Because it taxes their body just walking. Yeah. You walk up a flight of steps, you're going to get your heart rate over 120 if you're deconditioned. It's going to stay in the 70s if you're in good shape. So anyway, I guess my answer to your question is I don't really know if it gets you in better shape, but I feel like it does.
In some way.
Personally.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, Stu, is definitely it is an uncomfortable way to exercise.
That is true.
It's a mental toughness point.
Yeah.
And it really, for those people that don't have enough outlets for mental toughness, that skip breathing is a way to add another element of mental toughness in what you're doing.
That's a good point. I do know this. When I walk outside of the pool and I'm walking back to my car, it feels like my lungs are just wide open. I take these deep breaths. I feel like I've stretched everything out, and it's, I don't know. I like the way it feels. Is it making me in better shape? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, Stu, you can do this again, if you're careful, and you've got people around you. You can do this on the bike. You can do it on the treadmill. You can actually do it when you're out hiking. I used to do it in Arizona in the summertime when I was hiking, because it was another way to add another element of difficulty into what you're doing.
Yeah.
And again, it's an aspect of making you more uncomfortable in what you're trying to do.
Yeah. I do it now. I do my mobility day, and I'll do I'm floating, but I'm running while I'm floating. So I am I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, running strides in deep water, and I'm underwater, and then I come up for a breath. So I just almost like treading water, but at the last minute I just come up for a breath. But so I call it my hypoxic aqua jogging workout. And it's a way that I work mobility, and at the same time I'm getting winded doing it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's really good. I mean, for those people that have the ability to swim, adding that into your workouts is really great. As you know, I get, about 4 months worth of it or 5 months worth of it, just because my pool's outdoors here. But it's really good stuff. Really good stuff. Especially if you like the water and you're comfortable in the water. It's so much fun. And there's so many things you can do. Weightlifting pyramids. I know that most people that nowadays know that you started your career lifting, you started your athletic life as a weightlifter. And because I know that a lot of people thought, oh, Stu's a PT guy, all he does is calisthenics.
Right.
But that's far from the truth.
I think I first learned about the pyramid, or I should say this is kind of a reverse pyramid, because with weightlifting, you don't want to start off with your heavy 1 rep max and go backwards. So the way we've always done it is you kind of warm up with a 10 weight, 10 rep set, moderate weight, get a little heavier, go to 8, get a little heavier, go to 6, get a little heavier, go to 4, a little heavier, go to 2, and then you just stay at 1 until you fail. So you might have 2 or 3 more sets, at 1 rep max, till you fail. So it's kind of a way to warm up your muscles for any particular lift. This can be bench press, it could be squats, it could be deadlift, and like I said, it's just lighter weight, and you're warming up to go to the heavier weights. Now, another way to do it too, instead of going by 2s, is just go by 1s, and just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just stay at 1 until you're done. So,
and Stu, when you construct the weightlifting one, do you? And as you know, I'm not a weightlifter, so I'm asking this because I don't really know. Do you combine the exercises like you do in calisthenics? Do you do a push, pull, and a leg exercise? How do you construct the weightlifting pyramids?
You hear my dogs?
I hear there must be some kind of activity. There's got to be a plastic bag floating through your
Oh my gosh! No. it's probably my neighbor walking her dog. It's ridiculous. Sorry about that, folks. But it is the way I do the pyramids is like I just said. I typically go lighter weight with more reps and work my way down the pyramid. It's kind of difficult to do it any other way, with weight training. So I always start off at my top number that I consider a decent warm up. Might be 10, might be 15. and then slowly, progressively get heavier and heavier with fewer reps. So,
and Stu, is this a one exercise pyramid, or do you have 2 or 3 exercises to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. You could do it, any particular way you want to do that. I typically do the big lifts with a pyramid, and then maybe auxiliary lifts, just regular sets,
Okay.
in between. So I may do a bench press pyramid 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, but then I may do supplemental abs or triceps or shoulder work, just 3 sets of 8 or 3 sets of 10, or maybe just throw a set in there in between. Or, if I really want to see what my 1 rep max is, I'm just going to rest, for a couple minutes in between those sets. And, it's kind of hard to do that now after being, for so long, outside of the powerlifting world. And, resting for me now is working another body part or running or, at worst doing abs or something while I'm waiting, to recover for the next pull-up set or weightlifting set or something. But yeah, it just depends, however you want to do that. It depends on your goal, I guess. If you want to really see what your 1 rep max is, that's a good way to kind of build down to your 1 rep max.
Reverse running pyramid. I love this one.
Oh man, this is a hard one. This is a really hard one. And this is a 1/4 mile distance. So you have a track. It's perfect on a track. And so we'll jog the first lap around the track, 2 minutes, right? Nice steady pace, 2-minute pace. And then, take a few seconds to kind of recover, maybe 10 or 15, start stretching out a little bit. And then we do the next one 10 seconds faster. So we'll go 150. And then we'll do the next one at 140. And we'll do the next one at 145 or no, 130. So now we're looking at a 6-minute mile pace already at 90 seconds. And then we do the next one at 80. And we try the next one at 70. And then there's always somebody who says, let's do 60, right? And, we all try to do 60, and some guys break it, some guys don't. And then we go back up the pyramid in reverse order. So that's a good one. That's a really good workout. You're looking at probably 3 or 4 miles worth of effort there. And it's not so hard at the first, but it gets really hard in the middle. And and cools down on the back end.
We talked a little bit about this, but talk about a typical swim pyramid.
Your swim pyramids. Well, you can do those a couple different ways too. Like we talked about it with the skip breathing. That's one way, and just keep the same distance doing it, and you're changing your breaths. But we'll typically do a distance pyramid as well. So we'll start off, and you can go either way on this one, I think. I like to start off with a 500-yard warm-up, and then I'll do a 400, try to make it a little faster, 300, make it a little faster, 200, then a 100. You do the math, you've just done 1,500 yards of swimming, which, for swimmers, that's not that much. But for, somebody who's already run and already lifted, done some PT, and this is the back end side of your workout, 1,500 yards is a pretty good way to finish off your workout. And you can always do more. You can add another shelf of the pyramid to head back up if you want to make it a little longer and harder too. So yeah, that's typically how we'll do the pyramids there. Sometimes we'll even mix in some swim PT with the swims too. So we'll just do a regular distance, like 100 yards, but then after the first 100, we'll do a set of, because we have pull-up bars on our pool deck here. And so we'll do pull-up, push-ups, abs, right, for the first set, swim 100 yards, pull-up, push-ups, abs for the second set, so the 2, 4, 6. So like our classic pyramid, we just added a 100-yard swim on every set. And that is a tough one because, you go 1 to 10 back down to 1, you just did 1,900 yards of swimming on top of it, which that in alone is a workout itself. So,
and if you go back to the Buds Like workout, look at the at your initial 12 weeks books, you've got some great swim PT routines in there.
Yeah.
And that if anybody really wants to get stairs at a public swimming pool, do the 100-yard fast jump out, do abs, do a push up, do a pull out of the pool,
Yeah.
jump back in and do it again, and people just think you're absolutely nuts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I get so many weird looks when I'm swimming, especially not in another pool. At our pool here,
Yeah, it's
they
normal.
expect it. I have like 15 guys doing it with me, and everybody's like, "What are they doing?" You know. So anyway.
Absolutely. All right. So, and the final one, Stu, we've already talked about, and that's the adding thinking games. That's number 10. We talked about that throughout this.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about the pyramid in itself and its design is, one, you have to realize that you multiply different exercises by 2 or 3 by the set number that you are on. So just keeping track of that in itself gets pretty tough, halfway through, and you're like, man, is this set number 7 or set number 8? And you got to kind of rethink some things, and then you realize you got to turn your brain on to start focusing on, these repetitions. And I think that's a good skill to have. I think it's a great skill because you are stressing out your body. The same stress hormones that you have from doing workouts, are the same stress hormones you have when you're literally stressed. I mean, that is what we're doing when we do this. Now, it also has a way of metabolizing stress hormones as well. So there's some good that you get out of this exercise, especially if you add on some cardio on the back end. It's a good way to help you metabolize some of these stress hormones that you've created, through your workouts, or just at the end of a very stressful day. I'd highly recommend at the end of a stressful day, instead of like doing a very stressful workout, do a workout where you're just focusing on breathing, and doing a lot of cardio. So
I'll tell you, Stu, a lot of times I work out at night after I've been at, doing what I do. And there's nothing better than a pyramid to get you started. Because it's just not hard to go out there and do 1 pull-up, 2 push-ups, 3 sit-ups, or whatever you're doing. It's just not hard. And mentally, it's not hard to face that.
True.
Where a lot of other workouts, it's tough to look at a workout and say, oh man, it's 8 o'clock at night. I'm going out in the cold in the sand here and do it in the rain like I did the other night. And you say, geez, do I really want to do this? But if you say, I'll just go out there and start doing it, it's
right.
A lot easier to take.
Yeah, I think so. I think the cool thing about the pyramid is like your first 3 sets are really easy, but they get you into it. And they're like, okay, I can do this. I think that's a good way to close that one up, because that's really what the pyramid allows you to do, is mentally go into it. Maybe you got to rely on your discipline because you're not really motivated to work out. Yeah. And this is really a good way to jump right in and build yourself up. And then by the 3rd or 4th set, you're like, okay, I'm into this now.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. All right, buddy. So you have a new book that I can't wait to get hold of. Why don't you tell everybody about this thing?
Yeah, I just packaged you up one, a matter of fact. Good. And here we go. The Warrior Workouts.
So this
Volume 1.
This is a history of workouts that you've actually been using and this is the cardboards.
Yep.
So explain to people what you've done here.
So when I work out with my groups here locally, I make these cardboard workouts. So you can see how we warm up. We did a push-up, sit-up, 1 to 10. That little symbol's a pyramid. Did a squat lunge, 1 to 10 pyramid. Did 50 pull-ups, 50 dips. We do stair crawls or bear crawls in between. So these are just some of the workouts that are in this book that I make on these pieces of cardboard. There you go. There's a push-up dip, 1 to 20. Every 5th set, you got to do dips, max, and abs a choice for 1 minute. So there you go. And then you got some weight room stuff in there. So anyway, these are I have hundreds of those pieces of cardboard laying around in my house. I would show you the box full of them. There's a regular cardboard box full of about 100 pieces of these things. So anyway, I wanted to put these down into a neat framework, and that's what these are. And there's no particular order in how they're arranged other than calisthenics. There's not a workout. Like you can see that it's just number 23 is a burpee pull-up pyramid. right? Number 22 is a run and push-up pyramid, right? So it's a lot of fun. It's a good little workout. So you can find those. You can get them on Amazon, get them on my website, stewsmith.com. I'll sign them for you and mail them off if you want one.
And notice that I have no signed books from Stu. All right. All right, buddy. This is Tactical Fitness Report with Stu Smith. This was number 65, Top 10 Pyramid Routines. All right, cool. Pal. Later.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you.